You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Good morning. So glad you're here. Life is sweet here at Flo's Focus. Pull up a chair. The coffee's perked, so go ahead, pour yourself a cup. Let's have some fun and see what we can find to explore today. So if you heard last week's show, we're out traveling and having a blast. Hope you are having a great summer or spring so far, too. Well, we've been in Kansas, and we're now in the beautiful Ozarks. Always my heart's home, sweet home. No place is like the Ozarks to me. I lived here for many a year, and every time I come back, it's still home, sweet home. We have a lot of birds flying around here today, just beautiful. Cardinals and blue jays, all kinds of pretty colors mixed together. I've seen a little chipmunk. My hubby calls that a squinty. I don't know where he got that name from, but maybe some of you call chipmunk squinties too. I don't know, but that's kind of cute. Well, I want to let you know that today's show is going to be dedicated to our soldiers and our veterans, but especially to the soldiers who have paid the ultimate price. They died securing our freedom. With it being Memorial Day, that is precisely what my heart feels like we need to do. So, mostly we're going to focus on Memorial Day. However, I also have some articles that I want to share ahead of time, some thoughts, etc., before we get rolling into our memorial events and such. So, let me get started on that. In Arkansas, it's raining cats and dogs, literally, and then some. I think it might be cows and horses by now. We've had so much rain here that it's literally washed our road out. There were pits in it that I'm telling you, a horse probably just about could have fit in. And it was really bad. I mean, so bad that people couldn't get up our road at all. They finally had to find another path to make it to their home, and that was not fun for them, for sure. And then for us, we got here, it was a lot better. However, it's raining again today, so who knows what's going to happen to our Ozarks at this point. Maybe we're going to end up being the one washed out to the ocean instead of California. Well, anyway, here we are, a new day, and today I thought since it's raining here, it'd be fun to talk about Arizona, where the sun is shining and nice and warm and it's hot like it normally is here in Arkansas. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Let's talk a little bit about Arizona then. Okay, here's some state facts about Arizona. First, the capital city is Phoenix. It has a constitution that's all its own. Its flag has 13 rays of red and gold on the top half, and they represent both the 13 original colonies of the Union and the rays of the western setting sun. So in other words, there is 13 in total of red and gold. These colors were also carried by Coronado's Spanish expedition in search of the 7 cities of Cibola in 1540. The bottom flag has the same liberty blue as the United States flag. Since Arizona was the largest producer of copper in the nation, a copper star was placed in the flag's center. The flag was adopted in 1917. The Saguaro, I don't think I said that right, but Guara cactus blossom is the state flower. There's several large cities in Arizona, including Phoenix, Tucson, that's where I travel nursed at, Mesa, Chandler, Glendale, Scottsdale, and others. The nickname of Arizona is the Grand Canyon State. The origin of the state name is based on the Basque word Ayartz Onak, meaning good oak, of the Spanish word Arizonac, meaning having a little spring. Okay, The song is Arizona. Imagine, and lots of things to be learned about Arizona. Of course, everybody knows Arizona then. Okay, here's some state facts about Arizona. First, the capital city is Phoenix. It has a constitution that's all its own. Its flag has 13 rays of red and gold on the top half, and they represent both the 13 original colonies of the Union and the rays of the western setting sun. So, in other words, there is 13 in total of red and gold. These colors were also carried by Coronado's Spanish expedition in search of the seven cities of Cibola in 1540. The bottom flag has the same liberty blue as the United States flag. Since Arizona was the largest producer of copper in the nation, a copper star was placed in the flag's center. The flag was adopted in 1917. The Segura, I don't think I said that right, but Guara cactus blossom is the state flower. There's several large cities in Arizona, including Phoenix, Tucson, that's where I travel nursed at, Mesa, Chandler, Glendale, Scottsdale, and others. The nickname of Arizona is the Grand Canyon State. The origin of the state name is based on the Basque word Eartz Onak, meaning good oak, of the Spanish word Arizonac, meaning having a little spring. Okay, the song is Arizona. Imagine, and lots of things to be learned about Arizona. Of course, everybody knows how flag has 13 rays of red and gold on the top half, and they represent both the 13 original colonies of the Union and the rays of the western setting sun. So, in other words, there is 13 in total of red and gold. These colors were also carried by Coronado's Spanish expedition in search of the seven cities of Cibola in 15. The bottom flag has the same liberty blue as the United States flag. Since Arizona was the largest producer of copper in the nation, a copper star was placed in the flag's center. The flag was adopted in 1917. The Segura Guara cactus blossom is the state flower. There's several large cities in Arizona, including Phoenix, Tucson, that's where I travel nursed at, Mesa, Chandler, Glendale, Scottsdale, and others. The nickname of Arizona is the Grand Canyon State. The origin of the state name is based on the Basque word Eartz Onak, meaning good oak, of the Spanish word Arizonac, meaning having a little spring. Okay, the song is Arizona. Imagine, and Arizona really is a fantastic state. It has 24 National Park Service units in Arizona, including 3 national parks, Grand Canyon, Petrified Forest, and Saguaro, plus another 4 national monuments administered by the Bureau of Land Management. It's just an amazing state. No matter which national forest you went to, you couldn't go wrong. And if you had a chance to go to all 3, well, very lucky you. Although mostly in Utah, the Glen Canyon National Reaction Area is also a really pretty area. It contains the vast expanse of Lake Powell, created in 1964 after flooding of the Colorado River by Glen Canyon Dam. It's surrounded by many square miles of largely inaccessible red rock wilderness, crossed by numerous narrow canyons, and it offers endless possibilities for exploration both on land and on water. Hohokam Pima National Monument is on the Gila River Indian Reservation. It's south of Phoenix. It was created in 1972, and it protects the site of a village dating from around 1200. The village was excavated but subsequently reburied, leaving no visible trace. The site is not open to the public and has no facilities. So you know that that's there, but you can't see it. Drat, that's no fair. It is a great place to visit because you can go places that are open to the national public. Lots and lots of places. So many that it would take me 3 hours at least to talk about all the places. And I don't want to do that right now. I have a lot of other things that I want to talk about. Well, Arizona was the 48th state and the last contiguous state to be admitted to the Union, achieving statehood on Valentine's Day, February 14 of 1912. It has quite an interesting history. It was historically part of the territory. If you know what Alta California, New Spain was, well, it became part of independent Mexico in 1821. After being defeated in the Mexican American War, Mexico ceded much of this territory to the United States in 1848. The southernmost portion of the state was acquired in 1853 through the Gadsden Purchase. Southern Arizona is known for its desert climate with very hot summers and mild winters. One of the native people from there told me that they had 3 months of bad weather, not cold weather, but hot weather. So it's different than in a lot of places in the U.S. He said if you can get through the 3 months of hot weather, then you really had it made because the rest of the weather was really pretty good. About a quarter of the state is made up of Indian reservations that serve, again, as the home of 27 federally recognized Native American tribes. It includes the Navajo Nation. Now, that is the largest in Arizona and in the United States. There was a big land dispute between Hopi tribe and Navajo tribe. I think overall there are at least peace within the nations, but there's still a land dispute that continues to happen, I understand. Um, there were American Indian Wars, which lasted, of course, from 1775 to 1918, with U.S. soldiers stationed on the border, which confronted Yaqui Indians who were using Arizona as a base to raid the nearby Mexican settlements as part of their wars against Mexico. I thought it was pretty neat that Arizona became a state during Valentine's Day. Isn't that exciting? Well, which one do you suppose came first? Did Arizona become a United States state or did Valentine's Day come first? Well, I'm not going to tell you right now, but if you really want to know, do you remember how to contact me? Yeah, you can contact me via how? On two ways. Remember, one is through Twitter, and I am Flobo there. And the other one is on our radio station. You'll find me at Flobo at KLRN Radio. So look me up there. Email me or send me a Twitter message. I love to hear from you. I really, really do. So please do let me hear from you. Okay, now moving on. Oh, by the way, if you want to go to Arizona and you want to explore Indian Arizona, the culture of the native ways, I recommend a really good book. It's called Traveling Indian Arizona. It's by Ann O'Brien. Um, The paperback has about 296 pages in it. It comes highly recommended from everyone that I've read about who has read the book. The research in this book makes for a great read. It has some really great photographs, and it's has some written detailed history also about the various Indian reservations. It's great information for anyone traveling through the Southwest. So I think you'll really enjoy it and you'll find it to be an excellent resource. Okay, moving on from Arizona, I thought something fun might be to give you a recipe this time for pemmican. This is a native recipe. So hold on and I'll sure give it to you. Let me find it here. Pemmican, for those who don't know, pemmican is a food that's been used by native people for a long, long time. It originates from North America and it's a great food for people who do things like wilderness training, camping, anything to that nature. It lasts for several months to several years. Yes, several years without refrigeration. So you can see why it's such a great survival food. Even if you want to use it for like a survival kit, you can keep it for a long, long time and know that it will last. Okay, here's some recipes for it. Um, I'll give you a basic one that we would tend to use so that you won't have to really, hopefully, look at a whole lot other recipes that wouldn't make today's, what would you say, to have today's ingredients available as much. Okay, so here's one. The ingredients you need three things, and that's 2 pounds of dried beef, 1.5 cup raisins, and beef suet. Instructions: grind meat to fine pulp in a blender, and then you add your raisins and chop this up and break up the raisins and mix in well. Okay, then you melt your suet to a liquid and pour into the mixture, using just enough to hold the meat and raisins together. Now, cool this and put it into a pan and let it cool completely. Then cut it into strips and divide it into bars of about 4 inches long by 1 inch wide. Bag these separately, and this particular recipe you can store for several months. Okay, and recipe one. Um, Actually, this is recipe two, isn't it? I gave you a first recipe, so here's the second one. Use 4 cups lean meat, 3 cups dried fruit, 2 cups rendered fat, unsalted nuts, and about one, what they want to call a shot of honey. Instructions: meat should be lean as possible and double ground if you can, or have your butcher do it if you can do that. Okay, once this is done, spread it out very thin on a cookie sheet and dry at 180 degrees Fahrenheit for at least 8 hours or until sinewy and crispy. Pound the meat into a nearly powder consistency. Using a blender or whatever tool you can use that will work. Grind dried fruit that is in the recipe, but leave some out and kind of make it a lumpy texture. Okay, heat your rendered fat on stove at medium until liquid. Add liquid fat to the other ingredients, and then you want to put in your nuts and honey. Mix everything by hand. Let cool and store. This particular recipe can keep and be consumed for several years. So it's a great one. Again, for your wilderness kits or for your emergency kit or whatever you want to use it for. That's one super, super recipe. So keep that one in mind. Oh my, did you hear that? That must mean we're back in Arkansas, not Arizona anymore. Wow, yippee!
Hello, I'm Specialist Stacy Burrows from Atmore, Alabama. For me, Memorial Day is the day where we all come together and take a pause to remember our fallen brothers and sisters.
My name is Lieutenant Andrew Claiborne. I'm with 69th 88 Brigade at Fort Hood, Texas. I just wanted to say that to me, Memorial Day is all about respecting the incredible sacrifice that the soldiers who have come before me and giving the ultimate sacrifice to defend their country and preserve the freedom for all of us to be here today and to be a wonderful country that we are. So I just wanted to say thank you to all those soldiers.
I'm Corporal AJ Fisher, and Memorial Day to me is the recognition of the ultimate sacrifice by the soldiers that paved the way for us to be able to do our jobs today.
There are some beautiful quotes I'd like to share with you. As far as I know, they are all public domain. Remember, we remember you, the fallen, the ones who gave their lives for our freedom. You are not forgotten. Your love lives on in our hearts. We cherish the time we had with you, memories so sweet, and always we love you. Author unknown. Quotes for Memorial Day. God of our fathers, who by land and sea have ever led us to victory, please continue your inspiring guidance in this, the greatest of all conflicts. Strengthen my soul so that the weakening instinct of self preservation, which besets all of us in battle, shall not blind me of my duty to my own manhood, to the glory of my calling, and to my responsibility to my fellow soldiers. Grant to our armed forces that discipline, valor, and mutual confidence which ensures success in war. Let me not mourn for the men who have died fighting, but rather let me be glad that such heroes have lived. If it be my lot to die, let me do so with courage and honor in a manner which will bring the greatest harm to the enemy. And please, O Lord, protect and guide those I shall leave behind. Give us the victory, Lord. By General George Patton. James A. Garfield once stated, "For love of country, they accepted death." G. Ingersoll stated, "These heroes are dead. They died for liberty. They died for us. They are at rest. They sleep in the land they made free. Under the flag they rendered stainless. Under the solemn pines, the sad hemlocks, the tearful willows, and the embracing vines. They sleep beneath the shadows of the clouds, careless alike of sunshine or of storm, each in the windowless place of rest. Earth may run red with other wars. They are at peace. In the midst of battle, in the roar of conflict, they found the serenity of death. I have one sentiment for soldiers living and dead. Cheers for the living, tears for the dead. The dead soldier's silence sings our national anthem, Reverend Aaron Kilborn. General George Marshall stated, "Let every nation know, whether it wishes us well or ill, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe, to assure the survival and the success of liberty." John F. Kennedy. They are dead, but they live in each patriot's breast, and their names are engraven on honor's bright crest by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow from the Battle of Lavelle's Pond. Thomas Campbell said, "The patriot's blood is the seed of freedom's tree." Joseph Rodman Drake said, "And they who for their country die shall feel an honored grave. For glory lights the soldier's tomb, and beauty weeps the brave." And Billy Graham has stated, "Courage is contagious. When a brave man takes a stand, the spines of others are often stiffened." General George Washington at Valley Forge stated, "I consider it an indispensable duty to close this last solemn act of my official life by commending the interest of our dearest country to the protection of Almighty God and those who have the superintendence of them into his holy keeping." That was by General George Washington at Valley Forge. Let's talk about poppies.
We need to remember, we need to hold on to all of those memories of those who are gone, lest we forget the role of honor and what they sacrificed in the end. So remember the scarlet flower, the little red poppy that never died on the battlefields, like the memories of all our countrymen. We wear them close to our hearts, like the little red poppy. We need to remember, we need to hold on. It's our salute to the cause for freedom, and that we must belong, lest we forget a moment of silence and turn our backs on time. So remember the scarlet flower, the little red poppy that never died on the battlefields, like the memories of all our countrymen. We wear them close to our hearts, like the little red poppy. We wear them close to our hearts, like the little red poppy. We need to remember, we need to hold on.
Well, while we are alive, we must continue to pay bills. It's almost that time that we must take a break so that our radio station can continue to function. So we will continue our Memorial Day remembrance after station identification. So glad we can do this today. I think it's great to be able to remember our veterans. God bless our veterans, one and all. It's getting close to time for station.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough as nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Many people don't know what the history of Memorial Day is. Well, 3 years after the Civil War ended on May 5th, 1868, the head of an organization of Union veterans, the Grand Army of the Republic, established Decoration Day as a time for the nation to decorate the graves of the war dead with flowers. Major General John A. Logan declared that Decoration Day should be observed on May 30th. It is believed that date was chosen because flowers would be in bloom all over the country. Local observances claim to be first. Local springtime tributes to the Civil War dead already had been held in various places. One of the first occurred in Columbus, Mississippi, April 25th, 1866, when a group of women visited a cemetery to decorate the graves of Confederate soldiers who had fallen in battle at Shiloh. Nearby were the graves of Union soldiers neglected because they were the enemy. Disturbed at the sight of the bare graves, the women placed some of their flowers on those graves as well. Today, cities in the North and the South claim to be the birthplace of Memorial Day in 1866. Both Macon and Columbus, Georgia, claimed the title, as well as Richmond, Virginia. The village of Bollesburg, Pennsylvania, claims it began there 2 years earlier. A stone in a Carbondale, Illinois cemetery carries the statement that the first Decoration Day ceremony took place there on April 29th, 1866. Carbondale was the wartime home of General Logan. Approximately 25 places have been named in connection with the origin of Memorial Day, many of them in the South, where most of the war dead were buried. In 1966, Congress and President Lyndon Johnson declared Waterloo, North New York, the birthplace of Memorial Day. There was a ceremony on May 5th, 1866, that honored local veterans who fought in the Civil War. Businesses closed and residents flew flags at half staff. Supporters of Waterloo's claim say earlier observances in other places were either informal, not community wide, or one time events. By the end of the 19th century, Memorial Day ceremonies were being held on May 30th throughout the nation. State legislators passed proclamations designating the day, and the Army and Navy adopted regulations for proper observances at their facilities. It was not until after World War I, however, that the day was expanded to honor those who have died in all American wars. In 1971, Memorial Day was declared a national holiday by an act of Congress, though it is still often called Decoration Day. It was then also placed on the last Monday in May, as were some other federal holidays. Some states have Confederate observances. Many southern states also have their own days for honoring the Confederate dead. Mississippi celebrates Confederate Memorial Day on the last Monday of April. Alabama on the fourth Monday of April, and Georgia on April 26th. North and South Carolina observe it on May 10th, Louisiana on June 3rd, and Tennessee calls that date Confederate Decoration Day. Texas celebrates Confederate Heroes Day January 19th, and Virginia calls the last Monday in May Confederate Memorial Day. National Moment of Remembrance. To ensure the sacrifices of American fallen heroes are never forgotten, in December 2000, the U.S. Congress passed and the President signed into law The National Moment of Remembrance Act, PL 106 579, creating the White House Commission on the National Moment of Remembrance. The Commissioner's charter is to encourage the people of the United States to give something back to their country, which provides them so much freedom and opportunity by encouraging and coordinating commemorations in the United States of Memorial Day and the National Moment of Remembrance. The National Moment of Remembrance encourages all Americans to pause wherever they are at 3 p.m. local time on Memorial Day for a minute of silence to remember and honor those who have died in service to the nation. As Moment of Remembrance founder Carmela Laspada states, it's a way we can all help put the memorial back in Memorial Day. Memorial Day this year calls on all Americans with particular significance. It requires us to look backward at our past and forward to our future with our present Commander-in-Chief. We are blessed here as a nation in America. We have freedom. No other country enjoys freedom to the extent that we do. Military Day imposes a duty on all Americans to remember the sacrifice of our fallen heroes and to reflect prayerfully on how best we should steer a course through our dangerous and turbulent world. Again, the oldest known person that's. Let's take a little time for poppies. Does anyone know what I mean when I say let's take a little time for poppies? I wonder if anyone will recognize this song.
In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the lark still bravely singing fly. Scarce heard amid the guns below, we are the dead short days ago. We lived the dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields, in Flanders fields, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up your quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw. The torch be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow. In Flanders fields, in Flanders fields, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow. In Flanders fields, in Flanders
The person that wrote this poem that became a song was a Canadian poet. His name was Colonel John McCrae. He first described the Flanders poppy as a flower of remembrance, during the Second Battle of Ypres in 1915 when in charge of a small first aid post. Where did you go? Canadian Post Colonel John McCrae first described the Flanders poppy as a flower of remembrance. During the Second Battle of Ypres in 1915, when in charge of a small first aid post, he wrote the following in pencil on a page torn from his field dispatch book. In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks still bravely singing fly, scarcely heard amid the guns below. We are the dead short days ago. We lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders field. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders field. Colonel McCrae died while on active service in May 1918, but the concept of the red poppy lives on when we use it to salute the memory of those who made sacrifices for their country in wartime. Red poppies made of light cloth or paper are traditionally worn on or around Memorial Day as a mark of respect to those who died while serving their country. The poppy has its origins in the early 20th century when red or Flanders poppies bloomed over the graves of soldiers in France and Belgium. The poppy is now the undisputed symbol of remembrance, although its design has undergone several changes over the decades. The first Poppy Day in New Zealand was held on 24th of April 1922, and it met with much popular enthusiasm. Same for the United States. So began the tradition of the Poppy Day as a means of raising funds for our veterans. Why poppies? Poppies only flower in rooted up soil. Their seeds can lie on the ground for years and years. And it's only when someone roots up the ground that they will sprout. There was enough rooted up soil on the battlefield of the Western Front that the whole front consisted of churned up soil. In May 1915, when Colonel John McCrae wrote his famous poem about Flanders Field in Belgium, around him poppies blossomed like no one had ever seen before. So now you know the rest of the story about the poppies. However, you don't know it all. You see, it was recently that my Eagle Angel shared a story with me regarding a young or a not very kind military man who was selling poppies who stopped her today and asked if he could reposition hers. While doing this, he said that women should wear their poppy on the right side. He said the red represents the blood of all those who give their lives. The black represents the mourning of those who didn't have their loved ones return home. And the green leaf represents the grass and crops growing and future prosperity after the war destroyed so much. And another part of the story that you might not know is it's thought that the oldest poppy seller is a 101-year-old World War II veteran from Britain. And he has been selling poppies for the Royal British Legion since the early 1950s. He was born September 8th, 1915, and he served in the Service Corps during World War II before he later held the positions of both chairman and club chairman for the Royal British Legion. He's a proud recipient of a lifetime certificate for services to the local branch. And he so far hasn't shown up signs of hanging up his hat yet. You see, he was selling in 2016. So we'll have to see if he sells in 26 or 17. He said, I befriended an old World War I veteran while we were in Cairo, and on our 2 days off, we visited Alexandria and climbed the pyramids. I was a motor mechanic and was sent to the front line when we started pushing enemy troops back at El Alamein, the World War I veteran said. I was with a platoon of 10 lorries that took the 4th Indian Division up the front line. Mine was a breakdown lorry. Wally, who was serving in Italy when the war ended in 1945, briefly returning home before his unit went to Vienna. He doesn't smoke, he says, and he doesn't drink to excess. He sounds like quite the man, perhaps half his own age. Wally, whose father died in World War I, one day before the armistice, added, my favorite thing about selling poppies is people's generosity. When someone puts money in but says, I've already got a poppy, it's very gratifying. Speaking of his own war record, Wally said in 1942, I was kitted out to go to the Far East, but then Singapore fell to the Japanese. I was then sent to North Africa, and the Nazis drove us back into Egypt. So now you know why he was in Egypt talking to the World War I veteran. He's quite the guy. What a privilege to have him being one of our, or the oldest veteran to be selling poppies. Would he join the service, or would he become a conscientious objector? My father served during World War I days, I am very pleased to say, and that has made all the difference. To many in America, Memorial Day weekend is simply a time for barbecues and fun get togethers. For many, it's a time to drink beer or just relax or do very little. For others, it means a time for them to remember their loved ones who they miss. And while their hearts are empty, they know that that spot that is so empty can never be filled again. They have lost their dear one who was given the ultimate sacrifice so that we might know liberty. Can we not please take a few minutes and give these individuals the respect that they so desire and deserve? It really is up to Americans individually to show respect. We cannot expect our government to teach us this. It is something that we must learn and we must choose to do on an individual basis. One thing that I would like to remind others of is that memorial stones are not taken care of, perhaps as they should be in America. Well, at any rate, the story goes that our headstones of our veterans are often neglected. We need to have care for these headstones. So maybe that's one way you could help if you would have the heart to do so. Go to your local cemetery and see what your veterans' tombstones look like. Report these if they are not well taken care of to the VFW and to other veteran administrations, and of course, whoever the caretakers of the cemetery is, especially when that is the city that they are located in. Soldiers never die, they just regroup at the gates of heaven.
May 13th, 1864. Union soldier Private William Chrisman is laid to rest on a plot of land just south of the nation's capital. 150 years later, Chrisman rests beside more than 300,000 of his brothers in arms.
Hi, I'm Corporal John Tucker, and I'm here at the nation's most hallowed ground, Arlington National Cemetery. The ages have been buried since 1864. Several Marine Corps legends, like Lieutenant General John A. Lejeune, can be found within Arlington's walls. Lejeune, famous for leading troops in both the Spanish-American War and World War I, solidified his legacy within the Marine Corps with his historic birthday message. One thing every Marine has in common is that no matter where they are or what they do, they hear the same message every Marine Corps birthday.
But we're not, Washington's not necessarily part of us.
We had a chance to speak with cemetery curator Roderick Gaynor.
Are interred. And when you think Arlington, you think two things really. Honor, I think, first and foremost, and second of all, tragedy. There's something sad, always sad about young people serving their country cut off in the prime of their life.
You think about war and how death is always involved in war, but it's only when you come to a place like this that you really get like the full depth of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you see 300,000 graves in one place, and it just really hits home.
Absolutely.
The cemetery is the final resting place of heroes both past and present, like Gunnery Sergeant John Basilone.
Where service members who have served throughout the ages have been buried since 1864. Several Marine Corps legends, like Lieutenant General John A. Lejeune, can be found within Arlington's walls. Lejeune, famous
who spoke of why this cemetery is important to a nation.
I think it's among, if not the most sacred shrine. It's where its military heroes, many of its best, are.
Who died while fighting on Iwo Jima in World War II, and heroes of a more recent generation.
Stop today is this Lebanese cedar tree, planted in memorial of all of those killed in the Beirut barracks bombing in 1983. Among those killed were 220 Marines. Their service and sacrifice is not forgotten. Heroes like Major Douglas Zembiec, who, during his 4 combat tours to Iraq, earned nicknames like the Lion of Fallujah and the Unapologetic Warrior. He was killed in Baghdad in 2007 while conducting combat operations. Our last...
And salute! Semper Fi, Marine. Ready?
The Run for the Fallen is running to remember all of the Virginians who gave their life during the period of the War on Terror. Running for 4 days for 250 miles, stopping each mile to honor an individual by name.
Ready, two.
He laughed, he smiled all the time, regardless of the situation. That was his mission, is to make you feel better. We can never allow our fallen to be forgotten.
Mile 14 is for 2 really good friends to serve in combat in Iraq with. It means a lot to me to make sure we honor those guys and never forget their names, and make sure we keep their legacies alive.
May 13th, 1864. Union soldier Private William Chrisman is laid to rest on a plot of land just south of the nation's capital. 150 years later, Chrisman rests beside more than 300,000 of his brothers in arms.
Hi, I'm Corporal John Tucker, and I'm here at the nation's most hallowed ground, Arlington National Cemetery, where service members who have served throughout the ages have been buried since 1864. Several Marine Corps like Lieutenant General John A. Lejeune can be found within Arlington's walls. Lejeune, famous for leading troops in both the Spanish-American War and World War I, solidified his legacy within the Marine Corps with his historic birthday message. One thing every Marine has in common is that no matter where they are or what they do, they hear the same message every Marine Corps birthday.
But we're not, Washington's not necessarily part of us.
We had a chance to speak with cemetery curator Roderick Gaynor, who spoke of why this cemetery is important to our nation.
I think it's among, if not the most sacred shrine. It's where its military heroes, many of its best, are interred. And when you think Arlington, you think two things really. Honor, I think, first and foremost, and second of all, tragedy. There's something sad, always sad about young people serving their country cut off in the prime of their life.
You think about war and how death is always involved in war, but it's only when you come to a place like this that you really get like the full depth of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you see 300,000 graves in one place, and it just really hits home.
Absolutely.
The cemetery is the final resting place of heroes both past and present, like Gunnery Sergeant John Basilone, who died while fighting on Iwo Jima in World War II, and heroes of a more recent generation. Heroes like Major Douglas Zembiec, who, during his 4 combat tours to Iraq, earned nicknames like the Lion of Fallujah and the Unapologetic Warrior. He was killed in Baghdad in 2007 while conducting combat operations. Our last stop today is this Lebanese cedar tree, planted in memorial of all of those killed in the Beirut barracks bombing in 1983. Among those killed were 220 Marines. Their service and sacrifice is not forgotten.
We will get every effort to train you, even after some of you have given up on yourself. We will get every effort to train you, even after some of you have given up on yourselves.
From day one, we were taught the meaning of sacrifice.
Above all else, never quit or give up.
We become part of something greater than ourselves. Our brothers and sisters before us confronted their mortality. They knew what it could cost. Now it's our turn. We defend liberty, face evil, and understand who our sacrifices are for. Some of us don't make it home, but all of us are remembered.
Let's make sure that we do our.
Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Barbara Stevenson, President of the American Foreign Service Association. And I want to thank all of you for joining us today as we gather to pay tribute to colleagues who did not make it home from serving our country abroad. This tradition of gathering at AFSA's Memorial
This program this week will be short due to the nature of this program. However, next week we will resume the regular 3-hour program. So make sure and tune in next week. Do you remember how to contact me? Of course, flow@klrnradio.com. And you can also find me on Twitter at Flobo. So I'll be looking for ya. Don't forget to write me. I love to hear from ya.